From the advertising media capital of the world, New Milford, Connecticut, wherever that is. This is Mostly Automotive Marketing with Matt Wilson, a bi-weekly-ish podcast about all things automotive marketing. Now, here's your host, Matt Wilson.
Yes. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Mostly Automotive Marketing with Matt Wilson, presented by Silverback Advertising. Look at this gear here. Am I on it? How do I go so you can see it? There we go. Look at that. Thank you to the bosses at Silverback. Silverback Advertising online at silverbackadvertising.com. There's two things that are like dominating my social media life right now that I see when I'm online all the time across different social platforms. One of them makes me so happy, and that is spring training baseball, right? I follow SNY and I follow the Mets and Citi Field on Instagram and Facebook and all those other places, and all the videos of Jacob deGrom warming up, in the bullpen, and Noah Syndergaard is back on the mound. I don't know why Noah's always shirtless and oiled up. It's very odd, but seeing those guys out there is awesome. What a good feeling. And the other thing that I'm seeing a lot of is Clubhouse. Come to my Clubhouse room tomorrow at 11, or I have an invitation to Clubhouse if anybody's looking for one. And a couple months ago, I was like, what the heck is Clubhouse? Now I know what it is. I've been on it once or twice, and I thought it'd be a good topic. And expert panel member at Dealer Marketing Magazine, Ilana Shabtay, who's been on the podcast before, has an article coming out all about Clubhouse. So let's talk about it. Hi, Ilana. How you doing?
Hey, good to be back. I'm doing well. Thank you. How are you?
Yeah, thanks for coming back on. I appreciate it. When I saw that this article was coming out, I was like, perfect, because I've been looking for a reason to talk about it, but I haven't been involved enough to talk about it with any substance. So when I saw this, I was like, perfect. And you've been on before. We had a good discussion last time, so I thought, let's do it.
Let's do it. Yeah, I'm excited.
So let me tell you how I started my Clubhouse discovery, right? Same thing like I mentioned, I'm on and I start seeing people talking about it and I'm like, what the heck is that, right? And then you see invitation, and then one of my friends from the Think Ad group had an invite and sent it to me. And so I said, okay, cool, I'll see what's going on here. And I go see what's going on, and I can't get on because I'm an Android Samsung Galaxy Note guy. I like the phone with the pen, right? I like I'm not an iPhone guy.
Right.
So I was like, forget it. I got enough going on in my life. I'm not going to worry about it. But then the peer pressure was getting to me. I felt like I was left out of the clique. So I go to my mom. Hey, Mom. Yeah, right. I'm a grown man. I have a house with kids and stuff. So I go to my mom. I'm like, hey, Mom, I know you're an iPhone person. Can I borrow one of your old iPhones? So I felt like, I got to borrow a phone from my mommy. Like, I don't have an iPhone. So I borrowed an old iPhone from my mother just to sign up for Clubhouse.
Wow.
And I've used it once. I've been in it once, like the first week or two that I got it. I joined a what do they call them? Is it a room? What is it?
They are rooms. Yeah. They're called rooms.
So I joined a room that was about the impending Vroom commercial and how it makes us all look terrible, which, by the way, I disagree with the general sentiment in the industry about the Vroom commercial, but I'll save that for another episode. So I was in a room about that, which was being led by a couple of, 5 or 6 people, one of which was dominating the conversation, interrupting everybody. I had something to say, of course. I'm never at a loss for words. So I, raised my hand, and then an hour and a half later, when I really had to get off the call and go somewhere, I got to say my piece. And the thing that was odd about it is I said my piece, and then the next person said their piece, and that was it. Like there was no feedback. So I was like, well, did I sound like an idiot, or did I make any sense? Or, and I'm not nervous to talk in front of people, but I was nervous about this for some reason. And I haven't been back since, and I've tried to go back, and I just haven't had time. So talk to me about like how you discovered Clubhouse, or actually explain what it is to the people listening who are like, what the hell's Clubhouse? What are these two people talking about? Explain it to us first.
Sure. And let me preface this with, I am no Clubhouse expert, but
right.
I have been spending way too much time on it, so I feel officially qualified to talk about it.
I want to hear your experience with it.
So I heard about it actually on LinkedIn.
Of course.
Every single person was posting about rooms that they were hosting in Clubhouse. I did not understand what it was. I was like, is this a new automotive conference? I don't know what's going on. I asked Kyle Mountseer, who I just actually learned how to pronounce his last name.
Yeah, he's got a great beard.
Yes, and a great following. Kyle Mountseer, who's one of our clients over at Nelson Mazda. He really promotes the product. He moderates tons of rooms. He introduced me, sent me an invite and said, here's what you need to do. Here are a couple rooms. Let me ping you into a room, which basically means like, let me send you a notification about rooms when they're happening that you should know about. And gave me a hot tip that was like, schedule times to be in Clubhouse and make sure it doesn't eat away at your life. And those should be the times that you go into rooms. Obviously, I did not take that advice, and we could talk about how I've been using Clubhouse in a different question. But that's kind of how I got into it. At first, when I opened it, I was like, what is this? Like, I am not going to like this. This is not going to take up my time. I'm going to fade out of this. In the end, I find myself on it way too much. So
you're hooked. You're sucked into it.
I am sucked into it. I don't think I'm as hooked as some of the others, but the other thing about Clubhouse, which they've basically done from a product perspective, they're incredibly genius, because not only is the growth strategy of invite only genius when it works, but also the amount of notifications I get from Clubhouse, it's distracting, but it's also like, okay, there's a level of FOMO that you can't ignore.
I know.
Let me just go in. I'm like, oh, Brian Bensock's in. All right, let me just go into this call. Let me just go into this. Grant Cardone. I'll just go in for a second. And then you just get sucked in. So they get you. And they also get your battery, by the way. Ever since I've downloaded Clubhouse, my iPhone lasts maybe an hour.
Yeah. That's the benefit of not having it on your main phone. I just shut my phone off when I'm not. But I've gone on a couple times after. Like, that's what I've done. I'm like, you know what? I'm like, let me turn it on and see what's going on. And I can just put it on and like put the phone down and just listen in the background, right? But my problem is I can't do that. Like, I have to, like, I can't do, if I'm listening to something, like I can't listen to podcasts or Howard Stern or something in my office. Like, I have to listen to either music or have it be silence. I'm more of a listen while I drive guy.
I'm a listen while I walk. Well, I live in a city, so I'm a listen while I walk.
Yeah. So I've gone on, but my thing is like, how do I find? Because like in my little schedule or whatever, like how do I find? Oh, I just got into one somehow by accident. Oh my God, how do I get out?
You just do the leave quietly.
Leave quietly.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I was in some auto. I was in a clubhouse. I was in a club. I was in a room. So how do I find the ones I want to be in? Because there's all kinds of like general, like I don't need to be, in a clubhouse where people are talking about, let me look at my thing here. I don't need to be in a clubhouse where people are talking about, I can't find an example right now, but it has nothing to do with what I'm interested in or, So, there's a clubhouse of people talking about how to coach high school baseball. I love baseball, but I don't need to listen to people talk about how to coach high school baseball. So how do I find the ones that like apply to me? Do I got to follow people?
Yes. So again, not an expert, but the way that I've done it is I've followed people in automotive industry that are active so that I know that when they enter rooms, I'll get notified about the rooms that they're in or they're participating in or they're moderating. And then you can also join clubs on Clubhouse. And I don't know if it's actually officially called a club. I think it is. You can join different clubs, and within those clubs, there might be rooms that are being moderated if you're a member of those clubs.
Okay.
There's one called Automotive Connections. That's the one that I'm a member of, and that also gives you access to a list of other people in automotive that you probably want to be connected to, and then you'll get pinged on those rooms.
Do you find yourself when you're in a room that is inevitably automotive focused, listening or also participating, or only listening and wanting to participate? Like what's your how's that working for you? Because if you're just listening, then maybe you shouldn't feel guilty about it. But if you're like participating and waiting for your chance to talk while you should be doing something else, then maybe you should feel a little guilty. Like what's your What's your activity like in there?
So it's interesting. I have not had the experience that you had where you waited for an hour and a half to speak and then no one responded to your response. I actually feel like there's a lot of interaction and responses to people when they say things. So I haven't had that experience. I do usually listen. However, I am, I'll say, frequent member of recurring rooms where I have been participating more.
Okay.
So there are there's a room that happens every week. It's called Vendor Dealer Connections, or it's a pitch room where it's basically open for vendors to pitch, but it's also there, like the dealers that go with an open mind, they know they're getting pitched. I like that. Cool. Yeah, I think it also it makes room for discussion, but also then you're not tiptoeing around like saying what you think and bringing your value prop without actually pitching. And that's moderated by a couple of dealers. Maybe one or two vendors are moderating as well, but I think it's mostly dealers that moderate it. And someone from Auto Lead Star always participates in that because it's a really good opportunity. If there are vendors listening, I think it's a wonderful opportunity to get out there and make connections. So that's one, for example.
What's that called?
It's called, let me look. See, Clubhouse has me going into the app even while I'm live on a podcast.
Yeah, I know. Could you give us your full attention? I'm just kidding.
It's called, I don't think they scheduled it for next week, but it's every Wednesday at like 10 a.m. Eastern. It's called Dealer Vendor Connections, I believe. But we can follow up with the exact name. Kyle Mountseer is one of the moderators. If you follow him, you will get pinged about him.
Yeah, I think I do follow him. Yeah, so my experience with waiting for a long time to talk was there were a lot of big wigs in there. There was like, a high up Google person, Ben Stock was in there, a couple of like high up people, were in there, and they, there was probably like 10 of them up on stage. I noticed they call it.
Cool kids call it stage.
Yeah. So I like raised my hand, and then like a half hour later, I was on stage and said, "Oh, we're gonna get to everybody who just brought up." So I'm like, "Ooh, all right, cool, I'm next." But then it was like another 40 minutes before I got to talk, and I was like, "Oh my god, I gotta go. I got somewhere to be." So like I finished talking, and then the next person just started saying their thing, and I was like, "All right, well that's like unfulfilled." Yeah. But then like the next person was like, "Oh, well, I agree with and piggyback on what that guy Matt said." Like, so I was like, "All right, so someone was listening," but. Then I'm like, then I'm thinking like, okay, so did I learn something? Yeah, all right, I learned something. I was listening to the opinions of dealers and got a general feeling of, what the dealer body or these people feel about, Vroom and that whole thing. But then I'm like, are people in here for the like kind of like Drew Delaware, was it Drew Delaware from Goobagoo? Somebody I was talking to was like, oh, are you there for the dopamine? Like, all right, good job, good thing to say. So I don't know, like I want to learn, right? I'm all about learning, but I don't commute anymore. So I don't have time to like listen to any books. I don't read because I'm like busy taking care of my kids and running around the house like crazy. And then I'm like bedtime, go to sleep. So like, I feel like this is a way to learn. And I learn by reading like what I'm supposed to be working on my computer. Like, oh, let me just read about this Pinterest opportunity for 45 minutes when I should be doing something else, Maybe Clubhouse is an educational like opportunity. Do you feel like you're getting education out of it?
I do. So I feel like everyone needs to have their goals as to what they're going into Clubhouse to learn about. And I think a lot of dealers go in to get, different tips and tricks on how to get, move more inventory, for example, or which SEM providers are the best, whatever. They have their goals for what they want to learn. For me, it gives me exposure to automotive. And I am not someone, I'm not a veteran of automotive. And so I like to go into the morning modern day automotive car salesman rooms. Again, I don't know if that's the exact name, but it's something similar to that because they talk about their strategy for the day. And like that, I definitely will not want to speak. And I just want to listen because it gives me, what's cool about Clubhouse is it really does give you insight to those that are genuine. And you can kind of tell, who's genuine and who's there to just kind of get their kudos, which you kind of mentioned before. You really get an insight into like how they manage, what training challenges are they having, what are their pain points, how do people operate at a dealership? So that's what I go in to learn about. I'm sure a lot of people go in for digital, but I go in for like the straight up automotive stuff.
I'm thinking now, like as you're saying that, I'm thinking, all right, like as vendors, right? maybe it's an opportunity to just hear what is in the minds of the dealer body. Like
100%.
I talk to my clients all the time, right? But that's it, or people who are pitching or, whatever.
Yeah.
But what about the general dealer body? And I talk to
Right.
some of my friends that are in, that are in automotive that I know, and we'll chit chat about what's going on. But sometimes it's nice to hear what's going on out there on the streets, so to speak, with people that you don't know to get opinions. So I like that idea. I think you're kind of selling me on trying to participate more. Let me ask you this.
Yeah, I mean, I just think even the other day I was listening to a car sales meeting, or a car sales room, and they were talking about how they're having issues with training their staff. And for example, when someone who used to work the floor, who doesn't work the floor anymore, and everyone's outside, cleaning after a big snowstorm, is back on the floor, and that person's, like, well, where are our service people at? And the general manager's like, no, they're outside cleaning. You do it. You take this up. Like you work
right.
this. And it's just like, it was just nice to hear these stories that I would never really hear. So yeah, I recommend it for that type of stuff. I think it's interesting.
I used to act like I was really busy on snow clearing mornings. Like I'd come in all my gear, my boots and my jacket and my, my hat and everything. Like I'm ready to clear the snow with the sales team. Then I go up to my office and be like, oh God, I got to take care of this. But I always felt guilty because the back wall of my office was a huge window that overlooked the lot. So I'd like open the blinds and be on the phone. And there's like guys out there with plows and shovels, and I'd feel kind of guilty. But after a while, I was like, I don't feel that guilty because I don't want to shovel snow.
That reminds me of my Army days. I was in the IDF in Israel, and there was always those people when they needed volunteers for like cleaning the kitchen. Always people that were like all of a sudden very busy, or like needed to go check on something. Like that's you. That's the soldier that you are.
Can Clubhouse be a time suck like TikTok? You're on, and then all of a sudden it's 4 hours later. You didn't realize you were watching videos all day.
100%.
Do you have a problem? Like, do you have a problem? Do you need to talk to somebody?
I haven't gotten there yet, although
card.
I do know someone in the industry. I will keep his name anonymous, okay? But they've now created cocktail hour Clubhouse rooms, which actually I really like, and it's just—
You don't have to be anonymous. I know who you're talking about. It's fine. It doesn't have to be anonymous. I know exactly who you're talking about.
We wake up 5 a.m. He's still in the room alone because he falls asleep with Clubhouse open, and I'm like, all right, that's like, come on. But yeah, it's a great time for that. Yeah.
I gotta say, like, that was my thing. Like, I'm like, who are all, like, I remember seeing somebody, you probably know too. I saw somebody posting on LinkedIn. They're like, oh man, there's so much great stuff going on in our industry. I was up on Clubhouse all night till midnight. And I'm like, who has that kind of time? But listen, we all work hard. Automotive is a very difficult, very involved industry. But I'm like, and I love my job and I love automotive marketing, but I'm sorry. At 10 o'clock at night, I want to be on the couch with my feet up, talking to my wife, watching The Weakest Link. Like that's what I want to. I love James. He's awesome.
I agree. My husband would kill me if I was on Clubhouse all night. Like that's all, our kid goes to sleep and that's like the only time we have.
Exactly.
It can't go to Clubhouse. Although I dedicate some time.
Like I come downstairs at 8:15 after putting the kids to bed, and I feel like I just got out of like a street fight. Yeah, I come down the stairs, my wife's downstairs on the couch, and I come downstairs and I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe I made it out of there alive.
Yeah,
and I'm not gonna be like, hold on, honey, I'm gonna go Clubhouse for an hour. Like it's hard. So I'm like, all right,
yeah,
I'm willing to do it, but I'm willing to do it like. And then I got invited to a Clubhouse. This guy, James Skarzinski.
He's the one that hosts the daily one, the daily.
So he's local to me. He lives in the next town over.
Oh, nice. Connecticut. I already love him.
I think he's been on this podcast before, way back in the beginning. And I don't really know him, but like I know of him because he's local and he's at the Shaker Auto Group, which is kind of a local group. So he was talking to me on LinkedIn or something, and he was like, "You should come on. I do a room every morning." And I'm like, geez, every morning? And he's like, yeah, it starts at 6:45. And I'm like, 6:45? I'm like,
but it goes until like 10 a.m. So that's what.
Yeah, well, I could hop on at 9:30.
Exactly. I try to listen to it while I'm on my way to dropping my son off at daycare because the time works out. And that's when I get a little insight into just like the mind of a car salesman, which is.
I mean, like he can fill up 3 hours.
It's interesting because I think sometimes when rooms have good momentum, and this happened to me also another time, the moderator doesn't want to shut down the room always. And so they might say like, okay, I got to hop off for something else. I'm going to appoint, 3 people here, moderators, and then the room continues on, which does make sense to me. But again, I don't know how people are staying in those rooms for 3 hours. No judgments. I think it's like, good for you if you can find the time or you can multitask.
He could be doing it driving to work. I get that. I just happen to know where his stores are, and he lives in Brookfield. So that's, he's in the car for a little while. All right. I get that. And, I could see myself doing that in the car. I don't know if I can hook up my mom's phone to my Bluetooth in my car somehow. I'd have to see if I can get her password.
I don't know.
Hey, Mom, can I have your password? So I could see that. But, I really think, like in the beginning, I was a little like, oh, come on. Like, I don't need another thing. But I like the idea of being able to, for me, I like the idea of being able to get in dealers' heads without having to have 800 one-on-one conversations a week to know what's going on. Because we have a lot of internal calls, at my agency. Mm-hmm. Hey, you guys hear, what's going on with CDJR right now? And, a guy at my company who's got 10 CDJR clients will say, my dealers are seeing this. But, we'll be like, oh, what's happening here? And we'll be like, oh, I don't know. Like, my dealer seems fine. But, I heard, what's the word on the street on this? And it's like walking down the street, bumping into a guy in the corner at the barbershop and having a chocolate malt and discussing what's going on in the business.
Yeah. So that's number one for me. The app really has opened that up for me. The other thing that I think will fade away once we go back to in-person, but has been really helpful now is in conjunction to these virtual events, and I'm really talking about NADA, but I'm sure this will continue to happen if we have more virtual events. There have been Clubhouse rooms to kind of discuss things that are happening at the event. Now, obviously, this is the type of stuff that would happen at like the happy hours or the after parties, but because we don't have that, Clubhouse has been a great outlet for that, where people just kind of what we call hot wash.
What is hot wash? I didn't know that was even a thing.
I don't even know if that's a horrible translation from Hebrew to English. I don't know where the expression comes from, but at Auto Lead Store, we often use it. Like after we have like a client save call or a good demo, we'll be like, okay, let's hot wash that. And we get on the phone and we just basically talk about what happened.
Listen, I went to Hebrew school for like 7 years. I never heard hot wash once.
Yeah.
I gotta be honest with you.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, like, I don't know if it's an Army term that we use. Either way,
Maybe.
Hot wash, you should adopt it. It's a great term. It's a great way.
I'm going to ask my mom if that comes from Yiddish, maybe. I'll have to ask my
seriously
grandmother.
But,
yeah. So it's like the equivalent. So it's like a webinar after party. The equivalent of going to the hotel bar. Like I remember being at this General Motors digital thing a couple of years ago. And then after, me and a coworker and some people were at the, restaurant in the hotel talking about, oh, I thought this presentation was good, or they should really do this next time, or this doesn't make any sense. And so this is like the virtual equivalent of that in that situation.
That's what it felt like. And it was also taking some of the hotter topics and then just discussing it instead of having, you went to a session, which is great, but now people actually want to talk about that hot topic. So that's another way that I see Clubhouse having an impact on the automotive industry. Again, I don't see that one lasting just because that's going to be once it's in person. Also, by the way, I see here a chat from John, and I'm going to butcher his last name, Repeta, but the official room that I was talking about is called Vendor Dealer Partnerships. That's the pitch room every Wednesday. So thank you, John. It's called Vendor Dealer Partnerships.
Wait, how's John watching? We're not on, are we?
Yeah, we're live.
We are?
I think so.
Did I hit live by accident? Oh, well, whatever.
Yeah.
Good thing. Good thing I'm a professional.
Yeah, seriously.
Or do I even see that? Oh, here we go.
Yeah, just chat it in.
Are we live on LinkedIn?
We might be.
I don't know how to use this program I have. I don't know how to use it. And I just got approved for LinkedIn Live finally. It's about time.
We're live.
And interesting. Anyway, what was I going to say? I was going to say... Oh, now I'm off topic.
I didn't mean to throw you off there.
You threw me off.
Well, I can bring you back into the conversation. Just in this 20 minutes that we've been podcasting, I've gotten 5 Clubhouse notifications.
Jeez,
and I don't even know how to adjust it in the app. because I would like to adjust it.
Yeah. Like, how do I get less of these?
Hey guys. Hi, John.
Very interesting. Very interesting.
I think it's great. Let's go live every week.
Yeah. Oh, I am live. It says. Oh, look at that. I didn't even know. Oh yeah. Look at that. Except the caption is wrong. It says this service department called me. Here's what happened. I gotta learn how to use my own software. Okay, so have you noticed at all since you started? Is there less or more participation? Do you think? I know you're not a Clubhouse expert, but I'm just what you've seen as a frequent, probably a more than you should be frequent user. Have you seen any drop off? Is it show any signs of wearing out its welcome at all?
That's an interesting question. I have not seen drop off. However, I have seen that it's basically stabilized to the people who are going to use it are using it, and the people who are joining it, even if people are joining, because I do see that new people are coming every week. It's like the power users are the power users, and it kind of feels like it's going to stay that way. Maybe one or two more power users will come in, but it does kind of feel like the community's kind of been set. Not to say that it's not unwelcoming. I actually think it is a very welcoming environment. I just think it's like all the people that it had attracted, they're in. And at this point, Clubhouse also, because of all these power users, I think everyone pretty much has access to invites at this point. So anyone who wants to get in, who has access to an iPhone, which if you don't, hot tip from Matt Wilson, ask your mom for an iPhone.
Your mom.
Yeah. But I think at this point, it's also, in the beginning, 2 months ago, I did feel like you kind of had to scramble for an invite. Now, everyone pretty much
got invites.
I have invites. If anyone wants, reach out to me. We're live now, so anyone who's listening, I got some invites, so I can send it over to you if you're interested.
Yeah, I do think the rollout was super cool. I mean, I was talking to somebody who said that they did no advertising, and it was just this exclusive thing, and then everyone wants to be in. Everyone, like you said before, there's the FOMO. You don't want to be missing out on what everyone's doing in our industry. So I think that was brilliant. But I do get what you're saying. I was talking to somebody else the other day about our LinkedIn community, right? There's 150 people, let's say, who are super active automotive people in LinkedIn, right? And then there's 25 people of us, I don't know if I'm in that group or not, who are frequent, the community. I feel like I'm getting to know the community. And I'm like, how do we get people outside of our little 100-person network, me and you, the Think Ad Group people, and all the people who we always talk to, how do we get outside of that? And then I don't know how to get outside of that on LinkedIn. And then how do we get outside of that in Clubhouse? Because our industry is huge. I don't know how many dealers there are across the country. I should probably know that. Do you know that?
There's probably 35,000 dealers, of that being maybe 18,000 franchise.
Sure, I'll believe that. Sure.
There's quite a few. But also it's interesting because now I don't know, again, I have no idea if this is accurate, and there is absolutely no data backing up what I'm about to say. But
awesome.
And I know you're come on my podcast, bring some good content. Here we go with me saying there is no data to back this up. But I have found, especially when I'm in some of these smaller, more intimate rooms, that once people are starting to speak up, a lot of dealers aren't putting the fact that they're dealers in their bios. And it reminds me of the conference, the conference tag where people they flip out their name tags, so they don't want people to know they're dealers. It's now that is translating into Clubhouse. Maybe they don't want to get pitched. Maybe, I don't know what it is, but I think there are a lot more dealers on Clubhouse that just don't have a bio, and people aren't necessarily following them, and maybe they're just listening in. I'm not sure. Again, I just in the past couple of weeks have noticed this. There's no data to back this up, but if there was more exposure, maybe that would help us understand and get some more different perspectives. But I'm not sure. I'm not sure how to crack open or crack out of this 150 people.
Have you ever been in a room that's not automotive related? I'm curious too. What else is going on in Clubhouse? Outside of us.
It's built for automotive. Well, first of all, in the beginning, I actually did think it was only automotive, and then I realized when I was onboarding, it's Phil, your interest. The only room that I tried to go into was like, they have this like 9 a.m. stock market, what should you invest in room? And I'm really into that. So I thought that would be nice. And then I was like, I'm not taking advice from random people that I can't even see. I have no idea what room I'm in. Like this is like money on the line. But it was that I tried that for like a minute and I was like, I'm out.
Yeah. You'd be like, you say to your husband, like, hey, some guy named William said, oh, we should invest in this. So get out let's get going. I wonder, like, I have a friend on Clubhouse who found me she found me somehow. We used to work together and she was in that room that I was in, story I was telling in the beginning of this episode. And she one point texted me and said, I bailed. I don't know how you listen to that. You guys are so boring. And I said, well, she's in this marketing industry on the ski outdoor sports side of it. So, similar to what we do, but totally different industry. And I was like, well, because you don't know what we do. Like if I jumped in an e-commerce room about people talking about how to buy lift tickets online, I would think it was boring too, probably. So I think it's got, right? I mean,
yeah.
She's like, I don't know how you listen to those people.
Like those people, you're like, I'm one of them.
Yeah, that's what we do. Yeah.
There's this room that I moderate, okay? And how I got into this is a whole nother story, but it's every Thursday night, okay? This is my only Clubhouse night. And of course it's on Thursdays, which is like kind of embarrassing and just like sad, but it's every Thursday night where we host, it's a couple of us, like a mix between dealers and vendors, where we host like a $75 contest for the best used car salesman pitch. It's funny. People
That's cool.
They pitch. It's very automotive focused. It's automotive making fun of automotive, which is why I like it. But one Thursday night, my sister was over. We were supposed to drink wine, and I was like, it was the first time we were doing it. I was like, it's gonna be like a half hour. I'm moderating this room. She's like, what is wrong with your industry? And she listened to she was just like stuck in my apartment with me. 2 hours of listening to this, and she was like, never again am I coming to this Clubhouse room with you.
I love this industry. Yeah. It's the best.
Me too. It's great.
What if we do a Clubhouse room together where it's parents with their kids and they're trying to talk about like you're trying to have kids like explain their dreams. Like you ever have your kid try and explain, I don't know how old your son, daughter?
He's a year and a half.
Oh, so that won't work. But
I don't know what he says.
Like I love listening to my 4-year-old try and explain her dream to me because she can't like communicate what she was dreaming about. But it seems like if you're going to do something outside of your industry, it should be something that's like totally like ridiculous, like a Clubhouse where people talk about the weakest link, something that you're obsessed. I would join a Clubhouse about Big Brother. I'm obsessed with Big Brother when it's on. Exist,
by the way. I'm certain that they do. You just got to find them.
Yeah. I feel like if I get into it more and it's a time suck for me, and even if I'm learning something, but it's taking up a lot of time and eating into my life, that I'm definitely going to blame you. So just want to let you know.
That's fine. Yeah. I'm okay with that.
I'm going to ask my therapist what her thoughts are in Clubhouse. I'll send you her business card because clearly you have a problem. Listen, this has been great. Is there anything else coming out in the article that we need to be aware of that I didn't cover that you wanted to mention?
No, let's keep some elements of surprise in the article, but other than that, we mentioned most of it.
This was great. Ilana Shabtay, Director of Marketing, Auto Lead Star, and expert panel member at Dealer Marketing Magazine. Don't be too proud of yourself for that though, because I'm an expert panel member and I'm not an expert in anything. I don't know how I got on there. So
yeah, but I heard that last time.
But I enjoy your writing. And thanks for coming on again. I really appreciate it.
Of course.
All right, Ilana.
Fun being live with you.
Yes. Yeah. I didn't know we were going to be live, but fun being live. Thank you. And I'll let you go now so you can join a room.
Right. That's probably a good one. Thank you so much.
Thank you. There you go. The talk about Clubhouse. I've been waiting to have it. I've, when LinkedIn Stories came out, whenever that was, I was all excited about that. And I did an episode on it. And I really don't ever use LinkedIn Stories. And I haven't really seen like a huge value in watching them. But I got to tell you, I think I might try and do more with Clubhouse. Mostly Automotive Marketing with Matt Wilson, presented by Silverback Advertising, online at silverbackadvertising.com. Be sure to check out Ilana's article in Dealer Marketing Magazine at dealermarketing.com. Lots of good content on there from all the expert panel members, and you will hear from a lot of them here on Mostly Automotive Marketing with Matt Wilson. Thank you for listening, everybody. Have a good one. And thank you for watching if you are accidentally watching live.
Is brought to you by... Wait, this guy has sponsors? Oh, never mind. This sheet of paper is blank. No sponsors. That makes more sense. For updates, info, future episodes, and more, follow on Twitter, subscribe on YouTube, like on Facebook, and connect on Frackle. You guys made that last one up. That's not even a thing, Frackle. Come on.